9 o'clock. I'll call to order this meeting of the Shelby County Supervisors on Tuesday, November 2nd. Any conflicts of interest, gentlemen?
I have none.
Okay. Agenda. Be okay if we move the methane distribution line up to number 5.
Okay.
That's okay with you, gentlemen?
Yep.
Okay. With that change.
We also have Motorola.
Yeah, he's going to speak under the department heads report because that was a last minute thing. No action was taken on that, so.
Okay. Oh, leave it open.
So with those.
Yep, leave it open. Can you?
With those changes, do I have approval of the agenda?
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Claims?
I didn't have any questions.
I didn't see anything on there that was.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
Motion by Steve.
Second.
Second by Charlie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes from October 19th. Anything different there?
No changes, Mark?
No.
Okay.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Easement for methane distribution line across county property. Matt, would you like to come up to the hot seat, please?
Good morning. Morning.
Morning.
Give us a little, we're moving forward with the digester already, it sounds like, so.
Yes, we've broken ground on the sand mechanical separation part. Got some walls up, some concrete going. Secured our easements. In fact, Jan Curtis gave us an easement, and she had an idea that for the easement we're getting from the county through you guys and Marcus, she said you guys should pay for that too. So she suggested that Brightmark donate $1,000 to the conservation board.
Okay.
Which they did. I brought a check, and then Kirkland Farms matched it. So we're going to give them $2,000 as a donation. And it was Jan Curtis's idea, our neighbor, so it was a good idea to give Jan some.
Because you're, the other farmers, are you giving them some?
Jan didn't, they gave Jan $1,000.
Okay.
And she's going to donate it to a patriotic charity of her choosing. She said it wasn't about the money. She thought it was a good project. She was willing to, she appreciated the communication up front, that we went to her, that we explained it to her, that we had a video of what we were doing. And yeah, so that's done. We got the Peters family. So we've secured all of our easements, and I believe Mr. Strachey is finalizing with Brightmark right now, is my understanding. I haven't spoken to Dave this week.
How far distance from your facility to tapping into the line, Matt?
I believe it's close to 3 miles.
Okay, and you got all those easements secured up front?
Right.
Okay,
We started talking on that probably 6 months ago.
Awesome.
Kind of like Gary Swinson across the road, we went to him early summer.
Okay.
Without the easements and the cooperation of the farmers, we'd have just told the
Yeah,
digester.
the project don't go.
Well, we'd have just told the digester company we need more time or it doesn't work.
Right.
They don't need us, you know, we need them. They don't need us, so we went out in front and tried to communicate. It's really a good project. It takes the carbon out of the environment, it takes the methane out of the air.
Makes it usable.
And converts it to natural gas. So it is a renewable energy. Who would have thought dairy cows used to get a bad rap and happy cows are on grass and all these, and now happy cows are cows that methane doesn't go into the air anymore. So
Yeah, appreciate that.
How big a line are we talking and how deep?
I believe it's 3 to 5 inches and mostly 3, and it's that poly, I think, and they just plow it right in. Like I believe it's less
You
than,
can knife it in.
So it's not volatile like some other, I mean, before it gets to the gas line, is it?
my understanding is it's between 36 and 42 inches deep,
Okay.
unless there's a reason to adjust that based on a farmer's tile or something that might be there.
Okay.
And then it goes to right above the northern natural gas pipeline that currently runs from Michigan to Kansas. And I believe that's owned by Warren Buffett or Berkshire Hathaway is one of their companies. And then a building is placed above that pipeline, less than an acre. And then Northern Natural Gas receives the clean methane from the digester, and then they compress and put it into their own line. So the dairy rents manure to the digester company for 30 to 40 days. The methane gets pushed through the methane line, if you want to call it that, and the Northern Natural Gas receives the clean methane into their facility, and then they input it into their line. This isn't new technology, it's just new here. This has been happening in
Okay.
Wisconsin, Michigan,
Overseas.
overseas. A lot of places that don't have the land base, then they can't have the volume of animals because they can't get rid of the manure because they don't have the farmland base. And so therefore they put the manure, handle it differently. So,
Completion date for the digester? and-
right mark says they'll be making gas by May, so I'm guessing August. Everything costs more and takes longer,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially when you start construction in late October in Iowa.
And we did everything we needed to do within Marcus then?
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks Marcus and Darren for all the help.
we've looked at the
The
lead.
bottom line on this is it's 24 feet of county property.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the old railroad right of way. It's 24 feet wide. Can somebody go across it? So,
We made good money on that 24 feet. Thank you for the donation and.
It's a conservation.
And yeah,
Yeah, that was a great idea, Jen.
tell Jan and Peter as well.
Forrest from Brighton was like, oh, that'd be great, we'd be happy to
Yeah,
do it. So,
yeah, we appreciate that. Okay, thank you for coming in.
is that all you need from me?
Action item.
So do we have a motion to,
For easement, across that.
Yeah.
Conservation.
process the
ground.
easement,
Yeah.
sign it.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
motion by Steve, second by Terry, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank
If you
you.
have any questions, please holler.
Yeah, extend our thanks to.
Nice to meet you.
Thank
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Okay, Todd Molina, I guess. Well, we're going to supervisor committee reports first. Should we go ahead and do Alex?
Yeah.
Alex, are you out there?
Alex Londo, yes.
I got an update too on the committee report.
Oh, okay. This is supervisors. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
There we
Yep, yep.
Morning.
Morning.
How are you guys doing?
Okay.
Good.
So I just wanted to come in and talk, kind of, give a brief talk department head report, and then also talk about the radio project that we've been discussing over the last couple of meetings. As far as my department head report, we've been working a lot with getting dispatch back. We had a lot of updates to do to our SOPs, and the state's also pushing down different training guidelines and things. So I'm on a committee that helps drive what training for dispatch looks like. And Jordan's also been helping with that. And then we have our EMS inspection that's coming up for all the volunteer departments. Ryan's been heading that up. That'll be December 1st and 2nd, I believe. So he's working with all the departments to make sure that they're good for the inspection. And
Somebody outside comes in and does the inspection?
Correct, yeah, it's somebody from IDPH, they come out, and I think they said this year they're doing a virtual inspection, so we're not sure how that's gonna work, but that's a learning curve for everybody. And then our hazard mitigation plan, which we've worked on for the last couple of years, got approved by FEMA. I believe you guys had a resolution adopting that already. I think they're only waiting for 4 more resolutions to get that finalized, but that's nearing completion, so that's good. And then one of the other things that we discovered, and we talked about it at my last executive committee meeting, was we have always been getting water in our radio room. We thought it was through the walls seeping or something. We tried to mitigate that the best we could, and come to find out at this last rain, the reason we're getting water in there is there's an open conduit that's not capped that comes in through the fuse panel. So we're trying to figure out how we can fix that. There's been different discussions of whether we concrete that whole slab underneath the tower, whether we try to send a scope up there to figure out where the top of the conduit is and cap it. But I don't know how it was missed. It was behind the fuse panel. We had to take it apart to find it. So it was kind of an ordeal. But we found it. We've mitigated it so far, but we need to get a permanent fix in there at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then as far as the radio project goes, I know the people from Motorola are here too. They sent out updated pricing as of yesterday, I think it was last night they sent it. I know they talked to the attorney that was here last time to see about numbers for that as well. We got the finalized counts on everything, so we're good with that. And then if you have any questions regarding that, either I can answer them or they can too. so.
I guess I only had one question on that, and that was that we still did not, the quotes that had the extra towers in there, that was not did not have cost for modifying those water towers as well, right?
That is correct. There's no mitigation. The study, the structural analysis is in there.
Okay.
But there's no way of knowing what that mitigation would need to be until that's done, which is, I mean, after the projects. It's never really done before, because there's thousands of dollars just doing the structural analysis and getting that ahead of time and not knowing if a project would even move forward. Those are never really, unfortunately, hardened up front. Those and any potential lease costs of an existing structure are the two kind of main variables that are not in our proposals.
Okay.
So,
We have not gotten any response from Neil yet. I'm sure he hasn't been able to try out that repeater process.
No, I was just talking with them this morning, the people from Motorola. He's getting the repeaters. They're trying to figure out which frequency to program them under. So I would say within the next, probably what, 2 to 3 weeks?
That's probably early, I'd probably say 4 to 6.
4 to 6,
For the
okay.
equipment will be here, yeah.
They don't have those in, so before the end of the year.
Do you have any information on with the bond company? Did you find anything else out that would help?
The only thing we got is we received a engagement letter from them that we need to sign and
He
get
did
back. And
not
all that says is that if we move forward,
It's kind of like a
we
letter
would
of
use them,
intent.
right, that we're gonna use them.
Okay.
He didn't have all the information he needed for today's meeting. He sent me a conflicting email, and I straightened it out with him yesterday. He says, let's just wait till the 16th of November.
We'll finalize it then.
He says, I'll have all my information, all my ducks in a row by
Yeah,
then, so
okay.
let's just put it off. And I said, I don't think we would need them before that time anyway.
No,
and we shared the 3 different, options with him via that same
You did,
email. So
okay,
he has
okay,
that
very good.
to be able to run the different numbers for you
Okay.
for when he
Okay.
does come in 2
so what
weeks.
did you report back to him as far as what EMA can contribute to the project?
I estimated 100,000 from each reserve, EMA and 911. I need to set up a special, it'd be 200 total. I need to set up a special commission meeting for both, just so I can get that in minutes and writing that we can do that. So
That you can commit that,
Right.
okay?
But we do have the funds in both to be able to contribute that much.
Then what about the conflicting reports with counties using ARPA money and not? What have you found out there?
I've heard Pot County has signed off that they're using their ARPA money on it. I've heard that Jackson County is doing it. There's been some conflicting stories with the state auditor they say that you can't use it for it, but people are saying you can, so it seems like it's kind of I don't want to say a political thing, but it's like I don't know how the state auditor's saying you can't, but people are still doing it, so I'm still trying to figure that out.
What county did we have conflicting? You guys
Fremont,
said-
wasn't it?
Was it Fremont County that you told us that they were using the money, ARPA money, but
I know Jackson and Pot were the two
The two
for
you
sure
guys,
from
okay.
us that we know of.
Okay.
And to
And they
Alex's
are for
point-
sure?
Yes, sir.
They've already signed and everything.
The state auditor advised Jackson, this is from the Jackson auditor, not to use the funds, but they decided to go ahead and do it anyway.
Potawatomi, they looked at it at the county level, they've signed off on it for the county to go ahead and make a purchase of subscriber radios. And then City of Council Bluffs separately is using their ARPA funds to make purchase of radios as well too.
I don't see how a guy can't get it through there.
I don't know if it has to be approved through the state auditor for that process, or if he's just giving an opinion on it. I don't know.
I'd say more of an opinion, because they really don't want to,
Depends on,
seem like nobody wants to put their name on it,
Right.
on any of it.
Yeah, so, again, that's something I'm still trying to find out. I didn't think it was my place to reach out to the state auditor and ask them, but I know Mark has reached out with Jackson County, and they're going to do it, and,
that's all they said. They
Yeah.
just said,
Did you get any wording from them? Or how they approached it, or,
yeah, they just,
Requested it.
they tied it to COVID.
but did you get the exact wording from them, how they tied it to
No, but I
it?
can, but
I've got-
it's probably online
I've got the
somewhere.
exact wording from Pot County and Harrison County. Harrison County's gonna be supplementing with ARPA money, and they gave me their wording for it, so I have that.
Okay. No, I just got these last night, so, I mean, obviously we can't make a decision on these.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, appreciate the updates on them. Now it's kind of nailed down a little bit better for us to,
I would say, not today, Mark, I know you got a lot going on, but before our next meeting, make sure that Chip from Northland gets these three, and then he can give us three options.
and they say
Before that meeting, so you
Chip
can
has it,
digest it,
Yeah,
obviously.
he
not
says
before
I've already
that
given it to
meeting.
him, so,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
we'll touch base with him to make sure that,
And that would be my question in terms of next steps. I know you guys only meet, I think, first and third of every month. There's a fifth week. I mean, is there an option as you're getting, to
Yes,
have a
we'll-
special meeting if and
if
when
we
needed,
have to, we'll do
or a
it,
public
yes.
hearing if you do different
Yes.
directions?
Yeah.
Just wanted to.
because we realize we need to do this before the first of the year, so.
Yeah. Well, we've got, just so you know, I was just told we have price increases coming by the end of November as well, in addition to, and it just goes to the same, I mean, items I've been telling you that, I mean.
When did you say?
End of November, so.
Okay, but you said our pricing is good through till January 1st or no?
End of November.
End of
Yeah,
November?
all three of those updated prices you have via
Okay.
email, it's end of November currently.
Okay,
Yep.
I thought that meeting before we had till the first of the year.
The first of the year was that we knew a price increase was 100% coming by the first of the year, but that it's not getting any cheaper, and we're gonna try to hold it as much as we can. If you look at the previous one, I think it was actually end of October or mid-November.
Yeah, I know,
So
that's what Neil had
So
talked
I've
to you about.
we've been able to extend it to the end of November, knowing we have, I mean, price increases coming. It's one of those things where it's a give and take. I'll be able to hopefully go back and try to extend that, I mean, if I can, if we know you're actually moving
Yeah.
forward in your process and it continues to look like you are. So I just know we only have 3 more meetings regularly scheduled. I was hoping to hear you have an opportunity to have a special meeting. if you
yes,
want.
absolutely, we
Yeah.
can call those whenever we need to, but
I'll take that internally to be able to hopefully tell
Okay.
our people that too, so.
do you know what the increase is already, percentage wise?
Probably 10%. I mean, it's,
Okay,
and that's again, from the cost, not necessarily the system discount, those are two separate things. I mean, the cost versus, I mean, but then you have state contract pricing off of that cost, but that system discount is more of that bundle, which there is a number that's tied to all 3 of those options, depending on what you want to do. I mean, so.
okay,
And please reach out, I mean, to Chad or I or anybody, or Alex can, if you have questions between now and 2 weeks from now or whenever.
okay, we will do that. Yeah, this meeting got a little jam-packed with stuff, so,
Right, we understand.
but appreciate you coming again, and
Yep.
we will get moving. Okay, thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
I kind of jumped the gun there, I misread this, this was supposed to be some supervisor committee reports, did you guys have?
Yeah, I just wanted to give an update with myself being on the Regional Mental Health Board. We've been working with Lonnie and Mark and I have been working with Harlan Family Services, and they're trying to get more mental health services in the southern part of the region, or 9-county region. They're looking at Page County and Shelby County here, and we have 4 open offices over at the community health building, over at the Annex building. And so we're working on a rental agreement. They would need 3 and a nurse's station. I would say by the next meeting, we're gonna have that, because it's something they wanna get started here after the first of the year.
So it's a competitive process with Page County then?
Not so much competitive, they like to kind of do it the same rental rates within the region.
Oh, so they're gonna have some there and?
Yeah, they want to do it both.
Okay,
They have
gotcha.
it in Pot County now, so
Gotcha.
they'd like to spread out in the region, which would be a great benefit for our area. Otherwise, if we didn't have the space, they'd probably be looking at either Harrison or Monona County. So it's great if we can get that here.
Yep.
And we do have the space, and we have some nice offices. So just want to let you know, when I do get that agreement, I'll be bringing that to you guys.
Okay. Did you have anything, Charlie?
No, we got our, what's Central
28.
2080 agreement here.
Okay, that's pretty much all I have to report on too, so we'll get to that later. Okay, guess we'll move on to Todd Marine.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning.
Actually, just some quick updates now that the calendar has changed over to November, just some things we got coming up for the holiday season. But before that, also just wanted to take this opportunity to remind the general public and remind yourselves too, if you come across somebody that you think we can help out. So there's a program that the governor just committed a lot of additional ARPA dollars to. Some people refer to it as Manufacturing 4.0, some people refer to it as Industry 4.0. But what it is it's for manufacturers that have 75 or less employees. And it's a program that helps them automate a little bit of their process so that they can look at using those employees more efficiently. So, you know, a lot of that just repetitive hand stuff that you do at a small manufacturer, finding a way to automate that. And it's a real simple process. We just have, the manufacturer works with Iowa State Cirrus, and Cirrus will do an assessment of their process to see if there's an opportunity there to automate, whether it's in actual equipment or maybe software. If it's equipment, then they have up to $75,000 that will be granted to them to be able to put equipment in. It is a one-to-one match for them, but again, you're pretty much doubling your money, you know. So the state's saying to you, okay, if you've got $20,000 you can invest into some equipment, we'll give you another 20 and you can double it up. Same way on the software side, you can spend up to $25,000 to update your software processes, and so maybe it's an inventory system or something like that, and then they'll, you know, match whatever you spend. So
Can't be used for payroll though.
no.
Okay.
This is
Strictly.
to automate, whether it's the actual machinery needed for the process or, like I said, software to help
Good.
move things along quicker. Right. Like I said, it was about a week and a half ago, they announced that they were putting a lot more money into that project. So just, you know, we've been trying to make sure everybody's aware that that's out there. We do have some small manufacturers in Shelby County that make that available. So, regarding the chamber, like I said, we're kind of coming up on this holiday season real quick. So the first thing is, because of some changes in the banks here in Shelby County, we're going to be moving our gift certificate account to a different bank. So last time that we looked, we've got about $27,000 in uncashed gift certificates out there in the community.
Hopefully you don't come in today.
So we're greatly encouraging people to please, if you have, you know, gift certificates, to try to use them between now and December 1st. And one way you can use them is we partnered with Hy-Vee. And if you go into Hy-Vee and you buy products there, if you spend between $25 and $100 and pay for it with gift certificates, Hy-Vee will give you a 5% discount. If you go in and spend over $100 and pay for it with gift certificates, they'll give you a 10% discount. So you can get a discount on top of getting rid of some of those old gift certificates, which then will help us out because we want to process as many of those as we can before we have to move the account. Because eventually what's going to end up happening is we are going to have to move the account. And then if people still have those old gift certificates, we're gonna have to go through, have them come out to the office and we'll have to reissue them. And so it'd be a lot easier.
You're not gonna make them.
Just use them, it'd be a lot easier.
Gene, you should spend some of them.
Yeah, exactly.
26,000 of them.
And then, because, you know, we had to kind of do something different last year, just a reminder that on November 27th, so the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is Small Business Saturday, we will have our holiday tree lighting ceremony again, like we have in the past. We just didn't do it last year. So we'll have hot chocolate, we'll have cookies, Santa will be here for the kids, and that'll all kick off at 5 o'clock on the square here to kind of just welcome the holidays into Shelby County. A couple other quick items. Last year, because of the way things were going, we introduced what we called a shop and win promotion. And what that did, what you were able to do there is the community would buy things from local businesses that chose to participate, and for every $25 that they spent at that business, they received a raffle ticket. And then at the end of the holiday shopping season, so this year it'll run from December 6th through December 24th. We go pick up those tickets, and then on January 3rd of 2022, when we come back, that Monday morning on our radio address that we do every Monday morning, we will draw for winners for some gift certificates. It'll be 3 individuals will win $100 in gift certificates, 1 individual will win $200, and then the grand prize is $500. So, again, this is just to promote people to shop local, you know, go purchase local, and like I said, that'll run from the 6th to the 24th. It was really well received by the businesses last year and really well received by the public, so I thought we'd go ahead and bring that back again this year to continue to encourage folks, especially with the supply chain issues and everything else, you know, encourage them to buy as much locally as they can. And then finally, again, everything's about gift certificate this time of year, but Shelby County State Bank, last year they partnered with us, and people who came in and bought gift certificates, either for, you know, like your paper carrier, your mail person, other people, or small businesses that came in and bought some gift certificates for their employees, Shelby County State Bank offered a 10% discount on those gift certificates. So, you know, if you came in and you wanted $50 worth of gift certificates, it only really cost you $45, and Shelby County State Bank kicked in the other $5. So that'll be going on again this year too, from November 15th through December 24th. All right. And I won't even talk about all the stuff that's gonna happen in December yet.
Okay, yeah.
Next time.
How did the harvest?
Harvest Fest went well.
Okay.
It was attended well. It was a good day. You know, we got a lot of compliments from a lot of folks in regards to holding it, and so yeah, we're looking forward to just continue to grow it back to
What it
where
was.
it was.
Yeah. Great.
But it went well. Okay. All right. Any other
Thank you, sir.
questions?
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, thanks.
Don.
Any other committee members? Kyle, did you want to talk?
What's that?
Did you want to give a report?
I can give you a very short one.
Okay.
That's what we like.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
All good news, of course.
All great news. Shelby County Jail, yes. It's been about a month or so, I guess, since our last report here. A couple things. Obviously, I think last time we reported we were down a couple of full-time positions due to some changeover in the department. I'm happy to report we are now back to fully staffed, full-time. Hired a female CO. She started, Kelly Corwus. She started with us October 4th. And then we hired another gentleman to replace our 6th and final full-time position. Actually ended up taking him from Douglas County Corrections, so he wanted to come back to a small-town living.
How long does it take you to train these people before you can?
90 days. Well, 90 days if you have previous. So I mean, depending, how quick people can catch on to. You know, like Austin had stated, you know, he's been in corrections with the Nebraska Penitentiary since 2015, and when you come from a larger organization, you don't realize how good you have it until you come to a small jail. When you're like everything, you don't have like a medical ward, you don't have like a doctor, psychiatrist, you're pretty much everything.
All those things.
So, but yeah, so we'll hopefully have them fully trained, ready to go by January 1, so we can be back to, you know, normal staff. I just came after a 2.5 month night shift stint, and I really don't want to go back to that if I don't have to. So, the next thing I have, we did our Guard 1 update inmate tracking program. We did that purchase back in August.
Yep.
We have transitioned over that completely. I have completed the training. Trained the trainer, our staff. We are actually, as of yesterday, fully using that now. The old system is offline, and we are up on the new system. So it's awesome. It eliminates a lot of redundant inmate tracking reports. As soon as you bump it, you can do the cell check. It's in the cloud, as everything is data this day and age. No more going back and handwriting and putting stuff down on paper.
So we can actually get rid of a few people now.
Yeah, well, no. There's still plenty to do.
Okay.
You know, as everybody else in the supply chain, we ordered some new computers and stuff for the jail here back in April of this year. We're still waiting on getting those delivered from our IT vendor. Got a phone call yesterday. Apparently we had a hard drive failure in our camera server. Steve, I think you were part of that back in 2015 when we did that camera update. We spent quite a bit of money, and as of yesterday I was told that we probably need to start budgeting or looking at purchasing another camera
Updated
server.
one.
So
Wow.
that
time flew by.
yeah, that's only 5 years and $20-some thousand. That's but you know, that's technology, and that's the unfortunate aspect. I'm hoping we can limp this one out a little while longer, but you know, something.
Been having pretty good luck with it?
Yeah, it's been great as of till yesterday. Alex actually went down to the server room down there, and there was an alarm going off, and it was the server alarm on our jail camera 1 server. Apparently it was a hard drive failure. Still recording. They're overnighting us a disk today to hopefully get it installed so we don't lose any data, but we're as current as we can be. But that's just the unfortunate thing with IT.
Can we update the server?
That's what they're wanting us. I mean, it's the camera server. We're spending a couple $100 now to put a replacement drive in to hopefully to patch it quite a while, but as our IT vendor told us yesterday, like usually that's a sign, that's gonna be, because there's 6 drives in there, that the server is gonna start flaking here before long, so.
How you coming with the roof?
They're working on it today. Thank God weather's finally cooperating. We had a little damage from that rain that we had there the other day. I think they had started it. According to Mr. Lyon, that wasn't part of it. Apparently we had a pipe that was leaking onto a furnace pan below that was rusting out. That went down in the wall, and it happened in a matter of overnight. But we had bubbles like the size of basketballs in our jail waiting room. So Jeff, this one, he came up and took care of that. And
Bubbles, drywall, or
I can
or
refer you
those,
guys
like
pictures.
these panels here?
Well, I don't know. Sheriff, how would you explain that?
It was down the wall.
It came between the
It-
paint and the
yeah.
drywall and bubbled up, and
Yeah, bubble up the paint essentially.
so we can cut it and drain the water.
But
Drywall's okay.
So you find out the problem, gonna get that fixed?
yeah, Jeff.
New roof is gonna fix that.
Well, yeah, but apparently it wasn't related to the roof.
Yeah,
It's something else.
but
it
with
was
the new
like,
roof over
yeah,
the top,
yeah.
it's-
Hope they take care of all that, but no. Other than that, no problems. I think now that they've had 5 days rain-free, we're slated to be wrapped up here hopefully in a couple of days, and
And next week looks good too.
EMA can get their parking back, and everybody else get their parking back, and supplies will be off, and so.
Is Neil keeping you full?
They are busy between
They're busy.
between the sheriff's office and the police department. We are busy. You know, mental health continues to be the biggest struggle that we deal with in incarceration. We are the new holding facility, so you know, I mean, we're doing the best we can with what we have with the available resources we have. But you know, our medical costs are starting to go back up a little bit too, but we're doing the best we can with what we have. So,
Okay.
that's all I got to report.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Yep.
I noticed them medical costs.
Yeah. And I worked so hard to get them down.
Yep.
Yes.
Good luck.
Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Is there anybody else out there that wants, are you doing Neil?
No, I went last week.
Okay.
Brandon.
Nobody else out there?
Brandon.
Okay, yep, that's fine, bring him in.
I'm at the end of the agenda. Do you want me to go now, or?
Yeah, if you need to get out of here,
Yep.
is that okay to move him up?
You could get home.
Okay,
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hi, Brandon.
I know he's got work to do.
What I had on the agenda was that amended 2080 agreement with Irwin through some DOT revisions and looking at maps, had some things that we couldn't spend farm to market money on in Irwin. Talked to them, got everything worked out, worked with their designer, and it's all ironed out now. But what we called for in the last 2080 versus this one, just with how things are going to get paid for, we better amend it, and then I'll send it to them for their approval.
And all we're doing is changing the road that's actually listed as the farm market then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Well, at some point in time, Bella Street is the actual farm to market. When we get close again, we will resurface that. Ann Street is the one that was assumed to be the farm to market, and it's not. They're gonna take care of that. When we do Bella, at that time, we'll swap the farm to market routes.
Okay.
So then Ann Street will be the farm to market, but I'm not gonna swap them.
Yep.
We can't swap them now before the project would be let. And I'm not gonna swap them afterward and then have Bella be their responsibility too, so.
This has all been communicated to
Yes,
everybody.
yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we enter that 2080 agreement, City of Irwin.
I'll second that.
Motion by Steve, second by Charlie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then brief update from me, ditching north on timber north of Irwin. We're building up some intersections with that dirt and doing some other things with that. We've been doing that all summer. It seems to work pretty well, just getting everything built up so you don't have to jump up off of a stop sign. We've done 4 or 5 this year, and it works out pretty well, especially with semis running with grain right now. Other than that, the other ditching crew is replacing a culvert on Quince at 400th Street. Today, it should be a one-day project. Road should be open by the end of the day. Hauling rock and blading with our guys just after last week's rains. They exposed some weak spots, so we're trying to hit those as best we can. If anyone sees any weak spots, please let us know. We've got 650 miles of rock roads and we can't run them all the time. I know our blade guys, when they see weak spots, they definitely let us know, but if anyone from the public sees a weak spot, let us know and we'll get it covered up. And then we're stockpiling rock still. Thought we were about done, but we've got some price increases coming January 1st, and they're between 9 and 10% price increase, so we're gonna continue stockpiling rock this fall with some trucks and get our piles a little bit bigger than we'd like, but, you know, that's a
Sounds like
significant
inflation.
increase, so, right, so. We're gonna put more rock in the piles now and take care of ourselves for next spring as best we can and see where the world takes us after that, so. And then I talked to Jared and I have a call into the gentleman from Martin Marietta with the Denison Rock. It's been a couple weeks. I thought we were on a schedule and we haven't seen any. Just wanted to know what their schedule was. I know they don't want to get frozen out, but still like to get a load or
Yeah,
two.
next couple weeks look good, yeah.
Right, so.
Haven't heard nothing back.
No, I have not yet.
Good.
Hopefully here in the near future we'll get some more. That's all I have for today.
Okay.
Brian?
We do have Brandon helping with the Conservation Service with the mitigation project in Harlan. And they just started that. And it's gonna be a bigger project than we had anticipated. So, I mean, if you need help of any sort, or you gotta get some,
Rent some equipment or?
whatever,
Right, we'll be up there. I'm gonna.
eventually it's gonna pay for itself, so.
Yep.
I mean, he's billing the Conservation Service for his work, and,
Yeah, I'm gonna meet up there and they have part of it staked. We're just gonna kind of go through a game plan.
This can get linked to water quality. ARPA money can be used.
I think it's all
I
getting
think
paid
it's-
for.
It's already,
Yeah, it's
it's
gotta
already
be, yeah.
designated already.
Yeah.
yeah, it's gotta be done through this.
And it's through
Okay.
credits.
Through
It's
credits.
It's got its own finances.
It's
Yeah.
paying through it for itself.
Yeah, gotcha.
basically.
But true.
Yeah, otherwise,
You're
right,
right,
yes, it would,
absolutely.
if we were just doing it. Okay, thank you,
Okay,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now it's 2080 time.
Yeah, okay.
It's number 9.
Approved chairman signing the 28E agreement delegating well permitting authority to Environmental Health Department from the state of Iowa.
It's an update,
Yeah.
like all the other ones.
Yeah.
Maybe Steve knows more about it than I
Just
do.
wording it.
Yeah, Terry's been doing this,
Mhm.
Joe, forever, and it should have been updated some time ago, the process, and it hasn't been included. It's kind of an oversight.
Okay.
So now they're just updating that. I don't know, she had you look at it too.
Yeah, I
didn't
didn't
she?
see anything.
Yeah.
Nothing major
So,
as
no,
far as
it's
changes.
just updating the 2080 agreement.
Okay.
Every county and state has to do this.
Right,
So
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2080 agreement for the well permitting.
Motion by Steve, second by Charlie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2021-33, considering 28E agreement for an amended and substituted county electronic services system. I did print off. I was just gonna explain that one a little bit. It used to be, you got the resolution here that Martha screwed up, but I'll just read this. What we're doing is the 28E agreement, which governs the county land record information system, better known as Iowa Land Records. It provides public access to more than 21.5 million land records for all 99 counties, and also provides a statewide electronic filing system. Last year, more than half of all recorded documents were processed through the Iowa Land Records. ESS was established in 2005 at the direction of the Iowa legislature. The legislation required contracts for the system to be administered by the Iowa County Recorders Association. At the time, that was fine because the system was new. Financial reporting was simple and there was not that many contracts. Over the time, ESS has grown though, and operations have become more complex and there are more contracts in place to manage the services which are provided. Discussions with the state auditor and our own legal counsel, which I'm reading this from the Iowa County Recorders Association, suggested that a small but important modification be made to the 28E agreement. Essentially, the change allows all contracts to be managed through the 28E organization itself instead of through the Recorders Association. So that's all we're really approving. They're taking it away from the Recorders Association and running it through the 28E. So with that, do we have a resolution number on that, Mark?
Sure do. 2021-33.
So basically, by passing this or agreeing to this resolution, if all the other counties agree with their resolution, then the 28E will pass. We're not passing the 28E yet.
Right, yeah.
So we're
Like any
just-
other one.
So,
Motion approved.
Do you have anything else to add to that, Mark? Okay. I'll
what
second that.
resolution was
Of
that?
course not. 2021-33.
2021-33. So motion by Charlie,
Second.
second by Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now I lost my agenda. Got way too many papers today.
2134,
Which was, what's this one on?
West Central.
Okay, West Central, you want to explain that one,
Yes,
Charlie?
the state auditor sent West Central a notification that they could not get money from the county unless they got a 2080 agreement from our regional counties. So, like you, the rest of the region has to make their approval. So it's up to us to do our part for Shelby County. And it amounts to about $2,800
Okay.
each year.
So is this something we will have to continue to do each year then, or is this?
We have been.
We have been.
But the state auditor has ruled private organizations are not supposed to receive funds from government organizations unless you have an agreement.
Okay.
And this
So
is
this will be an ongoing.
clarifying it. Does that make,
The agreement, once you have the agreement in place, I don't think you have to pass that every year.
Okay,
The
Unless it's
agreement just
amended.
has to be in place in order for you to give them money every year.
okay,
So you'll still have to appropriate money every year.
right, okay, we just won't have to
just,
approve the 2080 every year, okay. All right.
thank you.
Okay,
And I'll make the motion to approve.
motion by Charlie,
Second.
second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2021-35, amendment to the Articles of Agreement, specifically Article 5C, requiring a quorum of 1/3 of the members plus one action item. Okay, this is with the workforce development, which I do serve on that committee. With all the restructuring we did for workforce development last year, for the last couple of years, we ended up with an extremely large region. It goes almost all the way up to the north part of Iowa, all the way down to the south. And we're having trouble getting people to the meetings to meet quorum. So what they're doing is they're asking to reduce the number required. I think it's from like 11 down to 7, I think is what we're doing. So that otherwise we can't get any business done. So I think everybody's agreed to it in the counties, and we're just doing our part here to get that done.
Does the Zoom
again.
meetings help with that at all?
No.
No?
I think there was a lot of people disappointed with workforce development when they went through
They
this.
changed it?
Yeah, and so they were having a little pushback from some counties or from some people being active in it, but,
Okay.
I mean, it was mandated, so it is what it is, but, so that's all it's doing, is asking to lower the quorum requirements, and
You okay with that?
I am absolutely okay with it.
Okay, now I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-35.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Charlie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. That's all the regular business except for Cement Carbon Solutions, right? Did I miss anybody? Okay. Okay.
Morning.
Morning. You got some slide handouts here.
Okay.
Okay.
Take a look. This is the same presentation that we gave to the public on October 6th here in Shelby.
I'm sorry, introduce yourself again. I don't think I met you.
Yes, sir. My name's Quinn Slavin.
Yes.
I work with Summit Carbon Solutions.
Right.
And I'm originally from north central Iowa. Lived in Iowa my whole life. And went to school at Simpson College. And then now I live in Dallas County.
Okay.
So happy to be here today. Thank you, first and foremost, for taking the time to allow me to speak with you and everyone here.
Absolutely.
I think, I'm intend to answer all of your questions or anything that you guys may be wondering about with this project. If I don't have the answer, I'll be sure to get it for you as soon as possible. It may be something I need to connect with our engineers that's one of the more technical elements of this. But if it's all right with you, I guess I'll just dive right in.
Absolutely.
I reached out to Quinn at the meeting you and I were at.
Okay, I
And
didn't.
asked him to come and speak to the supervisors.
Yeah, thank you for the invite and thank you for allowing me the time. So, first here, I'll just talk a little bit about Summit Carbon Solutions, who we are, and what we're doing. We were formed in 2020 with the goal of creating what will be the world's largest carbon capture and storage project. And to do this, it's called the Midwest Carbon Express. To do this, we are investing through a number of investors, privately funded $4.5 billion. And we're partnering with currently 31 ethanol plants across the Midwest, 12 of which are in Iowa. And I'll touch a little bit more on those in a second. But skip past the video. This is an actual presentation, or an actual PowerPoint. But as I said, we have 31 ethanol plants across the Midwest. And what we're doing is partnering with them to retrofit their plants so that we can capture the carbon that would otherwise be emitted from the fermentation process, transfer it via pipeline up to North Dakota, and permanently sequester and store it underground in these unique geological formations where it will remain permanently. Now, why are we doing this?
How are you storing it in these, are they in a cave or whatever?
So in North Dakota, they have kind of a unique underground geological formation that we don't have here in Iowa. There are some places elsewhere in the country, but one of the most efficient places we found where they've been receptive to it is North Dakota. It's very porous, very, very deep underground, and there's a layer of cap rock. So we would go beneath the cap rock so that it can't escape back up, and then it would disperse in a near liquid gas. It's between a liquid and a gas, doesn't matter. Disperse throughout this porous formation. You can think of it as almost like a giant rock sponge, and then as it spreads out, eventually it'll solidify and stay there permanently. And so the storage location up there, it has, I believe it's 250 billion tons of capacity, and we have the capacity to move up to 12 million tons every year. So if we were to take all of the emissions from the entire country, store them in this location, we could do it for 50 years. Now we're just looking at a much smaller endeavor to move up to 12 million tons every year, so there isn't really the concern that we're going to run out of space anytime soon. This has a long life to the project.
So you're saying that there's no way this could escape into the atmosphere?
No. So it's going to remain there permanently. This technology, I'll touch on this a little bit, has been used in the past for other uses. Not the way that we're doing it so much, but it's well studied that, and we're doing even more studies now with universities up in North Dakota that can X-ray the ground and study it well to confirm that, and it's been done in the past. So we are.
It's basically how carbon reacts with this type of rock to make it inert or make it. Yeah,
exactly, and that cap rock that's over it prevents it from going back up too. So it's there, and like I said, eventually it solidifies and will remain there permanently. So you may be wondering why do this. Obviously, we have the potential to take 12 million tons of CO2 that would have otherwise be emitted into the air and prevent that. So reducing the emissions of these ethanol plants, but there's a significant financial benefit here. I'm sure all of you know, and everyone in this room knows, how important and vital the ethanol industry is to not only our economy here in Iowa, but the entire Midwest and the entire country. 53% of corn that's grown in Iowa goes to the ethanol industry. But that industry's been fighting an uphill battle between small refinery waivers, the emergence of electric vehicles, the pandemic where fewer people were driving. This industry that supports over half of our corn crop is fighting a fight, and we want to lend a hand. We want to help them out. So it's beneficial financially both to the ethanol plants, to the farmers, the communities where these plants are, the entire state, and to Summit Carbon Solutions. We are a private company, so we're in this because it benefits us and everyone else. So what we can do is allow these ethanol plants to lower what's called their carbon intensity score, which allow them to have access to low carbon fuel markets. These are found in places like California, some other states on the West Coast like Washington, Oregon. It's found in parts of Canada, where they will pay a premium for fuel that has a low carbon intensity score. So with this project, we can take ethanol and by 2030 make it net zero. So it's a net zero carbon fuel, and then sell it to these other states, to these low carbon fuel markets, and that money comes back to Iowa and ensures that Iowa farmers and farmers around the Midwest have a long-term market for their corn. So, move on a little bit here to kind of the Iowa footprint. As I said, there are 12 ethanol plants in the state of Iowa, 31 in the entire network, and there is the capacity to add on some more as we go in the future. But right now we've already signed agreements with 12, and being roughly a third of the footprint of the entire project, we can expect roughly a third of the benefits of the jobs, of the investment, to be here in the state, which is, as I said, as somebody who's born and raised in Iowa, that's something that I'm personally very excited about, is what this means for our state. Now, you see here is a map on the next page of the Iowa route, and after that, specifically the Shelby County route. See there, just comes down just west of Harlan.
Proposed? Or?
Proposed route.
Okay.
Proposed route. We are going through the Iowa Utilities Board process right now, and so I'll talk about the timeline a little bit later, but we expect to be in construction in 2023 and operational by 2024. So we're at the very beginning of this process still. We conducted all of our public information meetings across the state in Iowa and a virtual meeting, and now we're doing kind of the same thing. Each state has a different process.
I was going to say, did you do the same thing with those states, and how's it going there?
It's going well. So as you saw, we did it where we gave a presentation much like this. We answered questions. I was actually up on the panel for one in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. They were very receptive to it. They were. It went very well. Great questions. Great. Interaction with landowners and community leaders, and then we were just in South Dakota last week, and I would say it was a very similar response. So the most important thing right now, I think, is having meaningful conversations like these with local leaders, with landowners, and making sure that we answer any questions that there are out there, that we tell our story and we get everybody to the table, because we are looking for partnerships. We're looking for relationships. I'm not here to just come in and say, hey, this is what happened, this is what's happening. I'm here to have an ongoing relationship where if you guys have any questions from constituents, I'd love to be a resource where I can help answer those questions and get the answers out there and the information out there that's necessary to make sure everybody is well informed. So,
Can I go back just a little bit? Okay, you're talking about how this will make the ethanol plants net zero so that they can sell their product. Wouldn't them capturing it themselves and selling it, the byproduct, wouldn't that have the same effect?
That's a great question. So, two parts to that. On the one hand, unless you sequester it, it doesn't count towards your carbon intensity score.
Okay.
So if you sell it for dry ice, soda pop, things like that, it doesn't lower your score, so they wouldn't have access to those markets.
When you say sequester, it's got to be...
Store it permanently.
It's got to be permanently stored.
So there's no escape of it at all. Because, as you know, when you use dry ice, soda pop, it does get released in very small amounts, obviously. But this, and to this scale, that that's why we plan to store it. We're not in competition for dry ice manufacturers, things like that. The plants that we're working with still have the ability to do that, and if they have offtake agreements with those manufacturers, that's totally fine. And they can continue doing that. This is about moving this large of a scale and sequestering it to lower that score in the most efficient way possible.
Have you talked to the farmers across Shelby County to see if you can run your pipe through their land?
Yeah, so that was part of the public information meeting that we had where we were providing information to the public, answering questions that they might have. And then now we actually, until we had that meeting, we aren't allowed to negotiate anything, speak with farmers or landowners and move any farther forward in the process. So we had to have those meetings first. We had those, and now we have the ability for land agents. There's going to be a land agent assigned to each individual landowner, and they then can have the conversations about, if they would prefer we go on the perimeter of their property, if there is anything that they would like to avoid, if they have, say, future plans to build a structure somewhere and they want us to dart around it, or anything like that. It's an ongoing negotiation. We're interested in voluntary easements and in being partners with the landowners on this. And so Summit Agriculture Group is our parent company. They're based in Hardin County, Iowa, and they're a farming company. They've been in Iowa farming for years. Some of this will go through their property, and so unlike a lot of other projects that come through where they're just looking to move a product from point A to point B and it doesn't actually impact or benefit the landowners and farmers any more than an easement payment. We understand what it's like to farm in Iowa. We understand how valuable topsoil is and how valuable drainage tile is, and that's why I think we're a unique company to be doing this, where we can have those conversations and actually understand the concerns and do everything we can to mitigate them and work in a partnership with these landowners. So I think that's definitely a benefit to having Summit Agriculture Group and Summit Carbon Solutions be a part of this, as opposed to some others. So moving forward here, it's going to be we're going to be having a lot more of these conversations and a lot of conversations with landowners individually. So I can talk a little bit here about kind of the breakdown of the investment. So as I said, it's a $4.5 billion private investment. One of our larger public donors is John Deere. They've gotten involved in this and they're very excited about it. In terms of jobs and what this stands to provide for not only the state but the whole project footprint, we're expecting to have a total of 14,000 to 17,000 jobs during the construction phase of the pipeline, and that would then translate to 350 to about 500 permanent jobs once the pipeline is in place and operational. So it's a significant boost.
Just in Iowa.
This is the project line. This is
for all 5 states.
For all 5 states. That's how that would be. But as I said, with 12 ethanol plants in Iowa, we can expect a significant portion of this to remain in the state. But take a little bit of a look here at kind of what 12 million tons looks like. So 12 million tons of CO2 being captured and permanently sequestered would be the equivalent of about 2.6 million cars being taken off the road. So that's a significant portion. While no one on our team is claiming that this is the silver bullet to fixing climate change or doing anything like that, it's a significant step in the right direction while we can still provide an economic benefit to agriculture. That's the real key to this, is the benefits that this poses economically. So I see it as kind of a win-win where we can both be profitable and be moving in the right direction. I think that's something that we'd like to see more of in the future. So I'd like to take quite a bit of time to talk about the safety and our commitment to safety of this project. So as I said earlier, the technology being used here is not necessarily new. It's been used for things like enhanced oil recovery. It's been used, and the technology we're using as far as the pipe, the carbon steel, that's used for transporting a whole number of different materials around. And so we're just using what's been around for a new purpose. So we're using it just to store the CO2 permanently underground rather than try to use it to flush out anything or for any other purposes. And so we are making the commitment to hiring the best people to work on this. Licensed laborers. We're working with the best engineers and contractors to ensure that every step along the way is safe. And in the last 20 years of CO2 pipelines in the United States, which there are 5,000 miles of currently, there have not been any fatalities related to a CO2 pipeline. So this is a safe project, and we're committed to it being safe and taking extra steps all along the process to ensure that we're going above and beyond. So, for example, we're asked to put the pipeline 3 feet underground, and we're doing a minimum of 4 feet, and lower at places if we need to. We are required to X-ray a certain number of wells, a certain percentage. We're X-raying 100%. Because we want to ensure that this is safe and that the communities that we're in, we're an Iowa-based company. Our communities and the communities surrounding us, we want them to trust us, and we want to have that mutual trust together that we're doing everything we can, and we will make this a safe project.
And you say what are you doing to the wells?
X-raying them?
X-raying.
Yep.
Okay.
So ensuring that we're not hitting something that we don't know is there. And that we know exactly where it's going, and that we are, 100% certain.
Because if there were a leak and it got into that well, what would happen? I asked this at the meeting that day. What happens when CO2 hits water?
That's the question I can get back to you on it once I talk with our, the engineer team on that, and the people that know just a little bit more about that. But I can say that we definitely intend to keep the CO2 in the pipe. If it did leak, we do have a monitoring system, 24/7, 365, that would identify immediately if there is a leak. We have shut-off valves placed along the route that can mitigate any damage done, and we really only expect, based on the materials we're using and the pressure and all of that the only way we expect there to be a leak would be if there was someone who were digging and they didn't call 811, they didn't know it was there, they struck it. That's the only. We don't expect it to be something where, and then obviously in that scenario you would know that it was leaking. So we don't expect there to be some phantom leak that goes undetected. And I can look into more and get back to you though about the specific.
Yeah, because you're saying that you're going to stay within how many 100 feet from a well anyway, right? Okay.
Yeah. Well, and we're looking to stay 500 feet from any structure, whether it's inhabited or not. Anything, we're looking to stay well away from that. Now, along with safety, our commitment to landowners is, like I said, to have a partnership on here. So there's an email on here, info@suncarbon, that's monitored regularly. If there are any problems, and if for any reason anyone associated with this project is acting against our values or is not showing the utmost respect for landowners, community leaders, and the communities that we're working in, we want to know about it, because we want to make sure that we are fostering positive relationships everywhere that this project is and everywhere surrounding this project. We're also committed to being good stewards of the land. So across the entire project area, we're committing to restoring the land as good or better than how we found it. And I think that's something that's important when I harken back to us being an agricultural company, that we understand the importance of topsoil probably a little bit more than most companies that are building a pipeline. We understand, how we need to restore that land so that it can be farmed on again as soon as possible. And that's coming. I'll talk here in a moment about crop damages and what we're looking to pay for that. But that's something that we understand well and that we're committed to doing. Now, compensation for landowners. Obviously, this is something that's very important to a lot of people, and I'm sure you may get quite a few questions about it. So, as I said, we're assigning land agents to each individual landowner, and we're looking for negotiation here. So we're negotiating voluntary easements on this route, and if it is, we're committed to paying 100% of the fair market value of the land that we're using, plus 50% for the temporary easement that we would use just to construct the line. And we're willing to work with landowners if there is, like I said, they want to go around the perimeter of the property, if they want to avoid certain areas where they plan to build in the future. We want to have those conversations, and we want to know. We want to be able to talk. And the first step to being able to do that is to survey the land and get our people out there to take a look and see what's actually out there, because you can see a lot more on the ground than you can from aerial photos or satellite images and things like that. So in addition to the 100% fair market value for the permanent easement, site is underground, so once we're done and we've restored the topsoil, it can be farmed over again with 50% of the temporary easement, and then we're also willing to pay crop damages. So if there are any crop damages, we would pay, and this is, I believe, two slides from here. If there are crop damages, we're going to pay 100% for the first year, 80% for the second year, and 60% for the third year, but that's all in one lump sum. So landowners would get that up front, and let's say the second year, in many cases, farmers will be able to plant crops and harvest on that ground the next year. You still get the whole upfront payment. So you still get all of that, all the, I believe, 240% of your first year's crop loss, all in one lump sum. So in a lot of ways, that's going to be another significant financial benefit for these farmers and these landowners. Now, drainage tile. That's something that a lot of people are concerned about, and something that we take very seriously. It's a big investment when a landowner puts in drainage tile, and we're committed to working with landowners to, if we can relocate it temporarily while we're building the line. If we need to go under it, we can. And in the unfortunate event that we do happen to damage any drainage tile, we're going to fix it. We're going to pay to have it done and fixed. And we'll have, like I said, we'll be hiring the best people to work with our drainage tile, the best people that construct it. But if a landowner has a contractor that they prefer to use, we'll pay for that too. Now lastly here, before we move on, but just have kind of a look at the project timeline and where we stand here. We've got quite a bit of work ahead of us, as you can see. We've taken on a tall task, and we understand that. But we believe we're definitely on track. We're still following the IUB process and navigating the processes in the other states as well, which are Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. And we do expect to have a permit decision and the clearance to begin construction in 2023, and then we plan to start moving carbon in 2024. So I know that I threw a lot at all of you just now and everyone in this room, but I'm happy to answer any additional questions you might have this time.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
If it's going through your land and you decide, well, we don't really want it to, can you just opt out and you just go somewhere else, or you just take it then, or what happens then?
So that'll be something that's will be worked out with the land agents when they do come, if they have the opportunity to survey your land, and then to begin those conversations. And you can tell them how you feel about it and where you would like it to go. If you, like I said, you want it on the perimeter of your property, anything like that. And then we also do have we have a notice corridor. So you may have received a letter in the mail, certified mail from our company saying where the route's going, even if it's not actually proposed to be on your land. So it's possible that it's adjacent to your property, and we have that wiggle room, and that's why we do the notice corridor, so we can have the wiggle room if we need to reroute it, avoid anything. There are few instances where reroutes aren't possible in the event that there is a culturally sensitive area or an environmentally sensitive area that we just simply can't disturb. But for the most part, we're pretty flexible with how we can route this.
I wasn't able to make the last meeting, but I heard from some of my neighbors and friends that went, that how much on each side of the pipe do you need? How much
space? You mean
the easement?
The easement. So it's a 100-foot easement
on each side or one side.
It's 100 feet and then 50 feet of temporary easement. So it would be
200 feet.
200. Well, yes, I believe so. And that the 200 feet, that's the 50%. The 50 feet is temporary, and is the 50% is what we would pay for it, and then the permanent easement is 100%. But once that is in the ground and that's laid, you know, I believe it's actually a 100-foot easement total. And then once it's in the ground, you can still farm over top of it. You know, we would prefer not to have anything built directly on top of that, and that's why we'd like to have the conversations about if you do have plans, so that we can move around where you plan to build. But once it's in the ground, it's pretty much out of sight, out of mind.
That sounds wide. You think the 100-foot is?
That's what I
I think it's I would have to double check. So
That's
let
what they
me.
said at the meeting, was
It's 100 foot
50 feet
permanent?
each side, that's what they
And
said.
100 foot
that's,
permanent.
and that's
Plus
to put
50.
to put the dirt on temporarily.
Yep.
And to
Yep.
work.
And to work. So, but then 100 feet, boy, that sounds like a big easement.
And I can get back to you guys with
Okay.
with confirmation on that.
Going back to Julie's initial question, play this out, so, Julie and her husband, say they don't want to be a part of this.
Mhm.
The neighboring property said they don't want to be a part of this, now what happens?
I think that'd be something that, you know, it comes down to the negotiation with them. So if they decide, you know, that they simply don't want anything to do with it, that's why I said, you know, we have the opportunity to look at surrounding land nearby and negotiate for that. So, you know, find a deal that works for somebody in the area, and I think that is the primary goal, is to find something that works for somebody, and so that we can, you know, move this forward and get to doing the important work to benefit the entire agricultural community.
No, but like her question, if that doesn't happen, can you come in, they choose not to be a part of this, can you come in and use eminent domain?
We have, so that's the IUB's decision. We aren't.
No, but
we
you
haven't
still,
set up-
you apply for it.
But that's part of the entire permitting process. So that's not something that we're pursuing right now. And I think the idea of the negotiation, and, you know, when it comes down to it, it's almost, I would say it's premature to say what will happen, because I think that we can find an issue or a common ground with any landowner to find what works for them in the negotiation process.
Okay. That's it, true. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
If the project goes through, and who knows what the future brings, 20, 30 years down the road. As I look in our county, confinements, bench sites, and possibly down the road, we're one of the few counties that don't have any windmills. Can they be constructed right next up to this easement?
As my understanding is that they can be. So we
So
prefer
there's no
that,
restrictions?
but at the discretion of, you know, the landowner, and obviously like.
No, I'm talking the landowner wanting to.
Right, yeah, so if they decide they want it close, sure. We are committed to doing our best to making it 500 feet away from structures for their benefit, for their comfort.
No, but I'm talking future. We don't
And-
know
and
what
it's-
20 years bring.
Yeah, exactly. And if they decide in the future they want to build something, we prefer they don't build immediately over top of the pipeline.
Okay.
But if they want to build nearby, I believe that is doable.
So there's no restrictions.
As far as I know, no.
Okay. So what about some of these counties that you're in, because we have no windmills here, but if they do come someday, do you try to stay away from them because they have all their buried transmission lines and that? How do you approach that?
So you're talking about existing
today.
windmills? Yeah. So we're doing our best to follow existing utility corridors. That's pretty much what is least disruptive to the land. But in the event that we're encountering anything else, you know, we do have the ability to reroute around it, go underneath it, go deeper than, you know, that 4 feet, and that's top of pipe, you know, so we have the ability to go deeper if need be. But like I said, you know, in as much as we can, we're going to try to follow existing utility corridors.
But you could still have, you know, the windmills are 1 or 2 sections over, but the transmission line goes through there, so that doesn't hinder what you were trying to do now.
No, we have the ability to avoid
Okay.
obstacles as they come.
Okay.
I have a comment. My name is Jan Reinig. I'm a landowner. I talked yesterday to, his name is Mike Junkie, and he's the CEO at Sire, which is the Southwest Iowa Renewable Energy Ethanol Plant on Interstate 29 by Council Bluffs. And I just wanted to know if he was in on this, and he said that they had not joined Summit yet. And he said he didn't think that they would be in the near future. So of course I wanted to know some reasons. And one of the things that you mentioned, and I am not against ethanol and I am not against ethanol plants, but I thought this was an interesting thing. You mentioned that the carbon fuels in the states along the west, Washington, Oregon, and California, are the ones that are really, everybody's looking for better fuel. I understand that. And he understands that too, but he said the idea that ethanol here in the Midwest is where the product is, but the market is a long way away. And so I don't know how long we can depend on ethanol to be supplying. Maybe we need ethanol to be even better. Maybe we need a better product. Maybe we need a project that's a little more in the future than putting things under the ground. Someone had mentioned, several people had mentioned capping this at not only the ethanol plants, but we need these emissions to be capped where the factories are, and John Deere would be one. Are they doing anything? Do you know John Deere?
John Deere, at their
For emissions?
manufacturing plants, I'm not aware of their operations.
Okay. But I mean, we all need to be in this together, and I'm saying that ethanol has been good for the farmer, but I don't know how long ethanol is going to be able to sustain the value that it has had. And so my point is also that there is a high risk, I see. Now you're saying that everything will be under control, and I want to believe that, but there is a high risk between saving 18% maybe of our carbon up here after it's processed and watered and all of that, made a liquid, to what we might be losing in the value of our ground and our water supply. And that's very, very, very important to me.
You made a lot of great points there, and a couple I'll touch on immediately. I agree that we do need to find a way to make ethanol a long-term solution. It's been great, and it's been very profitable for it's raised the price of corn, and it's helped a lot of farmers remain extremely profitable. 50, like I said, 53% of our corn crop is very significant and very beneficial to all farming communities. And so we do need to find a way to make it viable in the future, and this is a way to do that. This is a way to ensure that it can compete in a low carbon world, because as the way that the markets are going and the way that consumers are making their decisions, if we can make ethanol net zero by 2030, we have the possibility and the potential to ensure that farmers can sell their corn ethanol plants for a long time, and that it can be a sustainable fuel that is highly popular among consumers, because it's cheaper at the pump right now, right? Yeah, but we can get a premium for that in other states and bring it right back to our economy here and to our local communities.
And you are saying that we can make this net zero, that we can get all of the carbon out of these ethanol, from these ethanol plants? Is that what you're saying?
By 2030.
By 2030.
By 2030, our estimates predict that we can make ethanol a net zero fuel.
Okay, and so how long are these pipelines, how long is this project projected to last? How many years?
So it can, hopefully we hope to have it operational really indefinitely, because the permit that we would receive would be for 25 years, I believe, but that can then be renewed. There are pipelines in this country that have been operating for over 50 years. So as long as we maintain it, the carbon steel is a very reliable material to use for the construction of the pipe. We can keep this project going for a very long time. And so, like I said earlier at the beginning, a lot of people here were putting it underground. How can that be sustainable? How can we continue doing that? Like I said, with 250 billion tons of capacity, moving up to 12 million tons a year, we have the opportunity to use that for a very, very long time and make it a significant solution for this issue.
Okay, one more comment. So you don't think that in 25 years there's going to be something that's going to be a whole lot better, that's going to not need a pipeline? I mean, that's possible too, isn't it? We can't project that.
It's hard to predict that far down the road, but I can say, it's hard to get better than net zero. So
if you can get it, it may take a lot of water too, which is also an issue.
But in
the processing.
In 25 years, this will have been net zero for a while, and so I think by that time, a lot of people will definitely see the value in ethanol as a sustainable fuel.
I hope, because that will be for our kids and grandkids. We want
Absolutely.
to be here. Yeah.
And I think that's.
Well, thank you for your comments.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
So California won't be interested in this until we're effectively net zero, so you're saying not until 2030. Would that market be open to us?
So I would have to check on what the specific carbon score requirement is.
Okay.
So I know that this has potential to lower ours to get into that market. I'm not sure if it
It doesn't need to be net
I'm not-
zero
I would
to
have-
hit that market.
I would have to confirm that and get back to you on that.
Okay.
I know, because something to keep in mind, and something we hear a lot is, well, what, it's not going to take, it's going to take a decade to do that. It's like, well, you know, being operational in 2024 to 2030,
It's only 6 years, but
relatively short amount of time to ensure the long-term, the decades that we can use ethanol, and that we can ensure that multiple generations have the opportunity to farm corn in Iowa, and that this 53% of our corn crop and our market isn't going to disappear.
well, and if down the road in 20 years, the ethanol plants are not viable and shut down, what do we have? We just have pipeline in the ground that is abandoned then?
You know, if I would hate to see the day where we don't have ethanol in Iowa because of how significant it is to our entire economy and farming. So I think the idea of this project is to ensure that day doesn't come and that we don't see that. Now, in the event, which of course we're not planning for, but in the event that we ended this project and decommissioned it, you know, it would be up to the landowner at that point to decide whether or not they want to have the pipeline removed from their ground. And that's Iowa law. If they want it removed from the ground, or if they want to just have it stay put, that's up to them. If it were to, you know, the permit is only for moving carbon and just carbon, and so if landowners don't need to have the concerns that something else is going to be going through there, because that would require a completely different process. They'd have to go through the whole thing again, and
You basically couldn't sell that pipeline to another entity.
no, it
that
wouldn't
does
work
a
like that.
different-
Yeah, it wouldn't
does a
work like
different-
that. And they would have, you know, they would go through the whole process again, and they would be meeting with landowners and bringing it to us to be on it.
Excuse me, but the cost of removing the pipe would be the farmers.
No. So
Oh,
the
the company would take
company
the pipe out?
would pay to remove the pipe.
Is that in writing?
I mean, it's part of the law. It's part of the state law.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so,
all right, well,
yeah.
that's, okay. I'll have to tell somebody else in another county about some pipes and that it's state law.
There you go.
They have some pipes left over.
I have a question about your pumping stations.
Yes, sir.
At the lower end, like closer where we are, would you have them closer, further apart than when you get up to Dakota? When you got a bigger line, do you need them closer together?
That would be something I'd have to check with you about, you know, kind of the engineering behind what pressure it takes and at what points.
But
and
how far
often.
apart would they be now as in your estimate?
I don't have that information, but I'd be happy to get your contact information and get you some answers on that.
Because and how far above the ground are they, and how large are they?
The
Station themselves,
stations.
pumping.
That'd be another thing I would have to check with our engineering team and get back to you on.
And they would not be put in the center of a field or anywhere? Where would you put them?
That would, again, that's something that I don't know at this time, so I'd need to get back to you on that.
When you get back to them, can you CC us on that too?
Sure, we have to. Yeah, let's connect.
Because I've had some of those questions, what Ed did too.
Yeah,
I would
On the
assume,
buildings.
I would assume that the pumping stations would also be the point where the shutoffs are, or is there more shutoffs than there are pumping stations?
I believe, and this is something that I would need to check back on, but I don't believe those are tied together.
You don't?
So let me get back to you with that too.
I have a question for a friend. Well, you go ahead, Miss.
Well, I just have a question. Linda Fawn, we own farm ground as well. We're not on the proposed route. Is this the first hazardous pipeline to be placed in Iowa?
No, I don't believe so. The Dakota Access Pipeline goes through Iowa.
Is that hazardous?
It's pumping oil, yeah.
Okay.
That's considered a hazardous.
Okay, so at the meeting, and you just said now too, you're gonna monitor this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. How is your company held responsible? So you're monitoring this in Ames, and we're here in Shelby County, or 700 miles of what you're doing. Do you have to make any reports to anyone on this monitoring system? Does anyone ever, do you have to report to DNR or the utilities board if there are any problems? Or how do people know that this is actually gonna be safe?
Well, so we are legally obligated to maintain the pipeline and to monitor it and keep it safe and everything. In addition to the headquarters in Ames, where we'll be monitored, there'll also be regular flyovers where they'll check for discoloration or any signs that anything could have happened, anything like that. And so, in the event that there is, well, we would make sure that we get to the site and mitigate any risk or harm to the ground.
But do you have to report these incidences to anybody?
That would be, I think that would be a question for the Iowa Utilities Board. They govern the specific rules on that,
Each state is different then?
I believe so, yeah. Based on if they're, PUC versus IUB, things like that.
I would think they'd have to be reported.
That would be my assumption too.
I would think so too, yeah.
But to further answer Linda's question, you don't know if there's any watchdog reporting, like monthly reporting, a report you have to fill out, who watches over this project in the future?
In the future. So, in terms of the monitoring of it or the regulation of it?
The monitoring.
The monitoring of it, it would be Summit Carbon Solutions. So Summit Carbon Solutions.
I know, but then who do they report to then? Who gives this information? Who's it aware to? Like let's say Linda wants to find out, okay, how was the pipeline last month? How does she find
Any
that out?
incidences are in it?
Yeah, and
would that be Iowa Utility Board?
Well, that's a benefit to having, Summit Carbon Solutions being an Iowa-based company. Us being just over in Ames, that we're reachable. So, if people want to know what's going on, how it's performing, things like that, they can contact Summit Carbon Solutions.
But there's no state agency that this is reported to, that the general public can check on?
That's something that I'm not aware of. Another thing that I can check on for you guys.
Okay.
I would say, I also would think that they need to know how much have you moved this month. I would think there would need to be some sort of reporting on that.
Yeah, that's something that
Of data that's collected somewhere.
not necessarily aware of, but I can check for you guys.
I got one more question. At the previous meeting, somebody mentioned conflict of interest that somebody on the Iowa Utility Board has with your company. Can you tell us what that conflict of interest might be?
I guess I'm not sure. Do you know what individual they're referring to?
No.
Okay.
The gentleman that was there representing, it's only a 3-board panel. The gentleman there was not the person because he would refuse to discuss it.
Okay, I think, was that Josh Burns that was the overseeing that meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, that
So I don't know.
would again would I think would have to be a question for them. I'm not aware of what the question was referring to, or I think I remember that happening and then his response to it, and I'm not quite sure what that was in reference to.
Because that did kind of unnerve me a little bit. And it also was brought to our attention, what's the name of the company that we went in, we did a letter of intent to do the inspections for us?
Yeah, I can't say it right now. Maybe Mark.
I don't recall.
But it was brought to our attention that there might be a conflict of interest there as well because they have your guys' names, Summit Carbon Solutions, on their card, along with theirs.
Is that you're talking about, would that be the land agents?
ISG.
No, not the line, the inspection company
The pipe inspectors
that we.
Gotcha.
that we hired that were
from
supposed
Des
to be
Moines.
independent.
Yeah,
ISG or IRG.
ISG, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Engineers.
Engineers out of Des Moines.
Gotcha.
We signed a letter of intent with them, and somebody brought it to our attention that there might be a conflict there because their business cards actually have your names printed on there with their name.
I know that ISG has done infrastructure projects like this in the past. I believe they worked on Dakota Access when it came through, and so I know they have experience working on these types of projects, and they've gone through this process before, working with counties to
But you
do
don't
that.
know of any correlation between your company and their company?
I personally don't. And so that would be, I think, a question for ISG, because.
Can you reach out to them?
Yep, I
Talk
will.
to them?
I will.
Okay.
So if there are enough people, I mean, this is scary. This is hazardous waste going through our farm ground. If there are enough people in Shelby County who don't want this going through their farm, are you going to force these people by eminent domain to put this pipeline through their property?
Well, as I answered earlier, I think it's premature to talk about that because we don't know what each landowner is going to want for their property. You know, this is an individual rights thing where each landowner can make a decision for themselves. I will say though, you know, while it is designated a hazardous material, the CO2, it's not flammable, it's not combustible. You know, it's either going up into the air or it's going underground, and we would prefer the second option. You know, for it to remain permanently sequestered, not emitted into the atmosphere that we breathe every day.
Well, it's not flammable or combustible, but if you're in a cloud where it's escaping, it takes the oxygen away and it suffocates you.
Certainly, yeah. No, it's an asphyxiant. That's for sure. But compared to a lot of other materials that are moved via pipeline, you know, if there's not the concern of it exploding and, you know, catch fire or anything like that. And so, like I said, if there were a leak, it would most likely be because somebody that came on your property that you didn't know was digging there, and they didn't call 811, they didn't follow the proper process, and they ended up getting down deep enough and striking the pipe. And so, you know, that's the only instance I can think of when there would be a concern of it escaping. And even then, you know, like I said, it's not going to be exploding. It's also not going to, while it's underground, it's not going to burn your crops or
I think
cool your crops.
there's a lot more dangerous things that, like anhydrous ammonia, that we deal with every day, that a lot more dangerous. It's kind of like you said, yeah, it's going to be more in a tight area versus if they have a leak in the pipeline versus letting it just go into the air at the ethanol plant. But I think we deal with a lot more dangerous things on a day-to-day basis that can do the same thing to us. And I'm not saying I'm for or against it, I'm just,
What about if there's a crack in the cap up in North Dakota?
In the cap rock
Yeah.
that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, you know, so as I said, when I don't expect that to be an issue. You know, I'm not a geologist, but it's been well studied by both the universities up there and some state agencies, or some government agencies that, you know, understand that layer. You know, this is part of the earth, and it's not only a very large cap rock, but this CO2 would be stored very, very, very far underground, you know, over a mile under the ground, and once it releases, it does solidify down there.
Can't imagine there's that much open space for it to solidify.
That is something that, you know, it's hard to, and when I first started looking at this and learning about it and working on it, you know, I was amazed by the capacity, you know, the sheer
was oil
capacity.
taken out of this area?
So,
Is that what created this space?
not in this area. So the area where we are storing the CO2, there aren't any minerals that would be taken out of it. So it's pretty far away from like the Bakken region where they do drill for oil. So that is just kind of the makeup of the area of North Dakota, you know, where they have these underground caverns and porous geological formations that we don't really have in Iowa. There are some in other states, like southern Illinois and middle Illinois, they have some similar formations. It's just kind of one of those geological phenomenons underground.
I just have a little comment, if everybody's done.
I can't think of anything else.
You talk about you're committed, your pipeline company's committed to respect, honesty, and transparency. And I believe everybody in this room wants that too. A lot of time that is shown by examples. Okay, one, I was really disappointed that you had to be invited to come to this meeting, that we were never once issued a letter to the supervisors. We were issued on August 27th a copy with a letter that went out to landowners. But as far as letting our county know, that never happened. So I'm just really disappointed in the transparency there. The other transparency thing I have a huge problem with, I'm not for or against this. I'm not against change, people trying to make money, but I have concerns with people's property rights, and I'm here to protect that.
I agree
Okay?
with that.
And I want you guys to be transparent about that. You keep skirting around the eminent domain part, but if majority don't want that, I hope you consider moving it someplace else and not force this on the landowners. And for transparency reasons, I filed a objection letter with the Iowa Utility Board last week, and I'd like to read that to you. So I am transparent, okay? As a supervisor from Shelby County, I want to file an objection to the Iowa Utility Board in regards to Summit Carbon Solutions' possible request for a right of eminent domain authority. Under state law, private property cannot be taken for pipeline unless the pipeline is needed to serve the public use purpose. This pipeline serves no public use for the citizens of Shelby County as a utility easement. I view public use as an electric, water, sewer, natural gas, telephone, fiber optic as examples of utilities that the public has an opportunity to share in. This pipeline does not meet the definition of public use for utility easement as intended by our state law. Private investors are promoting construction of a hazardous pipeline through our county to a hazardous dump site in North Dakota as a for-profit project without serving the public use purpose of the citizens of Shelby County, again, as a utility easement. I ask the Iowa Utility Board to please consider and value the intent of Iowa's eminent domain law and the property rights of our Iowans. Thank you. So, with you today saying you're going to try to work this out, I hope if it comes to that point, you either take it somewhere else or don't force this on people. That's all I ask you.
I appreciate your comments, and you know, I'll definitely take that back to our team, and you know, it's something, you know, we appreciate. That's one of the reasons why we want to have these meetings, is to get feedback like that.
And anybody can go to the Iowa Utility Board website. You can submit a comment of concern. You can submit a comment for it. If you get all the property owners to want to be a part of this, great. I'm for that. Just like right now, if a windmill project come here, that's up to the property owners. We have confinements all throughout the county. That's up to the property owners. They shouldn't be treated any different. They shouldn't be forced to have something on their property they don't want, especially when it doesn't benefit all of us as a public utility. I mean, that, to me, that's stretching way beyond the intent of the law.
Well, I appreciate your feedback. I'm going to take back our team. I will say though, as a point of clarification, we did reach out in July to try to get in contact and have a similar meeting to this. We failed to do so, and we weren't able to get in touch, and then public meetings got started, and we weren't able to get in touch until that time. But I appreciate the opportunity to come today. I'm glad we did get the opportunity to speak before all of you and get your feedback, answer your questions, and I hope moving forward that we can continue this dialogue. That you have my contact information. I've left it with the county, and so as questions, comments, concerns come up, I'd love for you guys to reach out to me, and we can continue this conversation.
Yeah, because we were having conversations to us, asking us about what's going on, about the same time the copy of the letter to the landowners went out, and you would have thought, this has been going on for not just months, but it sounds like a couple of years, that somebody would have reached out to say, what's your thoughts on this?
And that was, we use the county, the Iowa County database that lists the public officials, and so we pulled phone numbers from that, and they may have been inaccurate. I'm not sure what the issue might have been there, but I do apologize for
And it's after the
failing
fact
to get in
now.
touch at that time.
So with that being said, you're gonna get back to us with some information, and maybe even directly with some of these people here today. For the camera, would you like to tell a contact, phone number or email for any further questions that you could maybe?
Sure thing, sure thing. I'll talk right in there. The email we have listed on here, where you can get in touch with us, is just info, at summitcarbon.com.
Okay. And also, like was stated at the last meeting, if you want your voice heard, you've got to go to that Iowa Utilities Board website.
Yeah, and that link is iub.iowa.gov. And then there's a docket there where you can file a comment or objection. Okay?
Okay.
Thank everybody for coming today.
Thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Quinn for coming.
Yes, thanks,
sir.
Quinn. Appreciate it. Meeting adjourned.